Hey, I'm Reverend Bill. I'm the pastor here at First United Methodist Church of Lake Wales and also Indian Lake Estates. I go by Reverend Bill. My full name is the Reverend Dr. William Allen Fisackerly IV, which is why I go by Reverend Bill. We're going to try something we're calling Wesley Wednesdays. What do United Methodists believe? And the reason it's called Wesley Wednesdays is that our founder was John Wesley, who was an Anglican pastor in the 1700s, but because of his faith and because of his way of seeing things that were different from others, he basically started a whole new denomination. Now, he was an Anglican pastor till the day of his death, but the people who followed Wesley's teachings were called Wesleyans. So United Methodists are one of the biggest Wesleyan groups. United Methodists are focused on not just a personal experience with God, but how that experience takes you out into the world. John Wesley was very much concerned about that faith should not just be something you do on Sundays. Faith should be a way that you live. And his entire ministry was focused on that. The truth is that John was not very well accepted when he got started because at that time, the only proper place to preach was in a church. In John Wesley's day, one of the interesting things was that rich people would go to church and the people who couldn't afford to buy a pew couldn't come in. They would actually buy the pews, and only you and your family could sit there, and anybody you let sit there. So rich people could come to church, they would have a place to sit, and the people that couldn't afford to buy a pew would either have to stand up in the balcony, to stand in the back, or to stand outside and listen in through the windows. Well, John felt like this wasn't right, that everybody needs to hear the gospel. And so John would go out and start preaching to where the people were. He would go to the docks, he would go to the marketplaces, he would go to the coal mines. Wherever there were people that needed to hear that God loved them, John Wesley would go there. And that caused some problems because the church and other religious people didn't like that John would go outside of the church. He needed to preach in his parish. And John Wesley famously said, "The world is my parish." John Wesley was very concerned about making a difference. He did not believe in hoarding wealth. He believed in giving as much as he could. Near the end of his life, he wrote lots and lots and lots of books. So he had lots of royalties coming in, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So he had a small apartment in London. He bought his books, his clothes. He did have a house in Essex, which he left to his wife. And the rest he gave away. He looked at all of it as, I can't take this to heaven with me. God has given it to me now so that I can help others. And he would try to take heaven to other people. He was one of those that worked to get child labor laws enacted because kids as young as 4, 5, 6 years old were working in coal mines. And John thought, no, they need to be in school. He also was very much against the slave trade and did what he could to influence people to eliminate the slave trade. In the next weeks and months, if you have questions that you want to ask, let us know, and I'll do my best to get to all of them. We would like just to kind of go through what it is that John Wesley did and believed, and how we as Methodists are trying to continue that today. So thank you for attending our Wesley Wednesday, and let us know your prayers because we care about you. Thanks.